Good morning and welcome to my Suzuki, and today's video what we'd like to do is show you a product that we've not showcased before, and it's one of the DINITROL underbody anti-corrosive range, and it's called Corroheat. It's Corroheat, the product number is 4010, and it's a transparent film which is heat resistant, and it's designed to go in the engine bay. What we've used it for, because it's transparent, is, and it looks a little bit nicer in my opinion, that's only my opinion, it looks nicer. We've done the front panel, we've done the rear panel, and everywhere that you can get to with both the front and the rear bumper off. So this car we've just finished is a 2009 Wild Wind. We have an identical car on the way from Japan, but this one we've just completed the underbody treatment, and we've used 4 products on it, and the 4 products are the Corroheat, which we will show you very shortly, the 4941, which is the traditional underbody treatment, which we do all the base, all the underbody of the vehicle. We've got 447. I'll just pause a second while somebody drives past in an electric car, so it whispers past. We put on 447, which is a stone chip protector, which we do on the chassis rails and the inner arches, and then we put on also a product called 3125, which is quite a thinner cavity protection, which we inject into the rails, we inject into the tubes that connect the chassis rails, and it's quite thin, and it creeps, and it finds its own level, and it protects everywhere where you can't fire it on with a gun. We have got a 4th product, which technically is another product, because that's another 447, but that's an aerosol, and we use the aerosol for little touch-ups anywhere we may have missed, anywhere that's a little bit more delicate where we have to be careful, and also when we take it down off the jack. We touch anywhere that the jack may have just rubbed it off, you know, because there's a little bit of weight on it, a little bit of friction, and it could take a little bit off until it's fully cured, and it does take a little while to cure off, to flash off. And the second product I'd like to show you is one that we find invaluable as somebody who does a lot of work with Jimneys, and it's specifically made for 4x4s. Not sure how well it worked with other 4x4s, but with the Jimny it's absolutely ideal. It's a product made by Sealy, and it's a 4x4 jack attachment. It fits onto, obviously you've got to have a fairly substantial trolley jack. It fits onto the trolley jack. You take the cup off the trolley jack, put that onto one side. It's got another arm. One side fits on the diff, one side fits on the axle, and it lifts it further up in the air. And where we find it invaluable is in the process of doing the underbody anti-corrosive treatment, but anything else that we need to do to get the car up in the air. It's also really useful for putting lift kits on and changing out the suspension for stronger, higher lift suspension. The process I've outlined it before in other videos, but I'll quickly go through it. We put the car onto axle stands on the chassis legs, the rails, which serves 2 purposes. The first one is we can take the wheels off. We take the wheels off so we can gain access to the wheel arches, but it also lets the suspension drop down, which gives us even better access, and it means that we can fire the product into the arches, mainly the stone chip, but it means that we can get into places where you just cannot get into with wheels on. We've tried this on both a 4-poster lift with wheels on and a 2-poster with wheels off, and we found it a little bit restrictive. So this is, it looks a bit archaic, but the way we're doing it like now is the way we've found is the easiest way to do it. And so once we've finished with that, we get it off the axle stands by putting an old set of wheels on. We'll lift it up with the Sealy jack attachment, gets it right up in the air, and we put it onto wooden blocks, which are super strong, super safe, and it means we can get underneath with a crawler board. we've got an awful lot of headroom. When I say headroom, obviously it's just room, so we're not standing up. But it's useful to get under there, change the oil, anything we need to do around there. It's great for masking off things such as the exhaust, so we mask off the full exhaust so it doesn't get onto it now. But it also means that although the axle stands are all rated 3 ton each, you never know, it could slip off. It could slip off. If I've seen videos where people have been doing it on the drives and another car's run into a car and knocked it straight off. There's nobody underneath, but you never know. Safety is always crucial first. Anyway, we'll show you these couple of products and maybe anything else that we notice while we're making the video. So here's the car, ready to go back together. And what I wanted to show you was the jack attachment. And this is the attachment that helps us get it up onto the blocks, or enables us, not helps us. It's made by Sealing. You've really got to have a substantial trolley jack to start with. This is a high lift one, which I've for the dog. And the cup comes off the jack, goes onto the attachment. The attachment on the left, the cup on the left, we always use rubbers on it. That sits on the diff, and it's got an extendable arm which reaches out and sits on the axle. Gets it up really high. We've got the jack will go up a lot higher than that now, but it takes it up enough to go onto these blocks. If you're worried about the wheels, if you think, God, those wheels look shabby, it's an old set of wheels. I've mentioned before. We do all around the inner arch on the axle stands, then we put it onto the wheels, and the old set of wheels, everything's masked off, we put the wheels back on, we put it back on the blocks, and then we can get underneath it. Okay, hope the wind isn't interfering with the audio too much, but the second thing I wanted to show you is the different product that we put on the front panel. We put it on the front panel, we've extended it around. We put it on we put the rear bumper on already, but it's all on the back end too, and it just looks a little bit nicer than the product that we've put underneath, which is there on the actual inner arches, chassis and everything. This is 4010. It's called Corroheat. It's from DINITROL again, but it's a high temperature protective agent, and it goes hard. It's got a nice finish. It's got like a caramel look to it, so that I have taken some images and a little bit of video of slightly beforehand on this vehicle. That's the vehicle that it is. Again, as I always say, that will be blurred out. That's just for the prospective new owner to know that this is the car, this is the one we're talking about, and we haven't just taken one video and we just keep rehashing it. So yeah, really nice. We've got some pictures behind the headlights and everything. There's headlights crystal clear, everything's looking lovely in there. And the front panel is the panel which gives everybody all the issues. And there are one or two other things, like engine body mounts, the rear above the exhaust, below the tiny boot. But that's the product we put in there. Another thing is, no horn on this. No factory fitted horn, because they've got a pair of aftermarket Bosch super horns, and if the car isn't worth buying just on the strength of these horns themselves, I don't know what is. One really important reason to take the bumper off, the front bumper, is without taking the bumper off, you cannot get into all these. You see there where we're going into the chassis leg. It's got the cavity product in there, which moves out to the underbody product, which are then around here we've got the stone chip product. So we've actually got 4 products. Down through there is the cavity that we inject into all the cavities. So they're the tubes that connect the chassis rails, but the chassis rails we inject all the way along. but you can't get it 100% unless the bumper's off. And we did at one point give everybody the option. We started giving everybody 3 options, and the options were the full underbody and the front end where the bumper comes off, and then the third one was the full underbody with the front end off and the bumper off. This vehicle, we've done it off our own volition. We've done the underbody, we've done the front end, we've done the rear end, we've had both bumpers off, and to be honest, it's such a better job, such a better job. And we're just going to put it back together. So I wanted to show you what everything's looking like. We are about to put in when the inner arch, all the inner arches obviously come out to get this really thorough under there. It doesn't look amazing there. It looks a bit like we've done it uncaringly. It's very difficult with what we did. We sprayed the Corroheat, the caramel coloured product everywhere on the front panel, and then we've done the black afterwards, the stone chip and the underbody. As there's been a little bit of transition, but you don't see any of that whatsoever. But the peace of mind is, you know it's done. You know it's done, and you know that this car is, I won't say it's bulletproof, I won't say it's absolutely 100% going to avoid any corrosion, but it's probably the best you're going to get anywhere, because we've been to see people who do the DINITROL treatment, and they're a little bit reluctant to take the bumpers off. The last person we went to see, no disrespect to them, because that's what they do and that's how they do it, they said that they would do it, they would do the front panel, but we had to take the bumper off. So we had to strip the bumper down, and it's not a massive job. It's just, again, I keep saying this thing, it's a procedural thing. It's one of these things where it just takes time because it's something that you have to do. Anyway, enough of that. This is the front end. This is where we put the bumper on, and then I'll give you a good look around the car. We've got another one identical to this, just about to leave Japan. So this one's up for sale at the moment on the website. We've got another one coming in, and when I say identical, it's another 2009 Wild Wind. It's got the same interior, it's got the same features, as in it's got the indicators in the folding wing mirrors. All the difference being, it probably won't have these horns. So if you're desperate to have something a little bit unique with horns on, this is a car for you. Okay, so again, a little bit windy, hope it's not going to be too distracting. This is the front end of the one that is just going out. This is the product that we put on normally. Obviously it's a white car. It's usually, if you look at the bulkhead there, that is what colour the front panel and everything is before we treat it, and this is the treatment. Black, obviously black. It looks okay, but I personally think that this looks better. And I will be interested in the feedback from everybody as to what you think. Is it better? Is it nicer? Does it suit the white car better? This is going to be in conjunction with another video of introducing the Corroheat. But yeah, that's the two cars. Both have had the bumpers off, the front panel done. So whether you aesthetically, whether you like this more or not, it's got the protection. It's got the long-term protection that this sort of underbody treatment affects it. It's nice and dry. It's not. That's a little touch we do. We mask things like this off. Take the masking tape off because it's original. We don't want to take it off, and we don't want to spray over it. let us know in the comments what you think about the Corroheat.